Hi, y'all. This is Gail. I'm teaching gentle yoga for back here today. This class alternates with chair Tai Chi. Some folks will sign up for Wednesdays, like months at a time, and then they just kind of know every other week it's chair Tai Chi or gentle yoga for back here. Be that as it may. This class, we use a yoga strap and a block, optional using a chair, blanket, and yoga mat. Some folks do this class totally seated in the chair, and I try to cue as best I can for that. Some folks do the class along with me. So what I'm going to do now is stand up, move this chair out of the way. I'm going to go to the back of the room. And again, I'm going to move this chair out of the way. I have a spicy back pain, so I use the chair to get down to the floor. And we're going to start either seated on the chair to where you're not way back here in the chair, but you're kind of in the middle of the chair. And then lying on your back with knees bent, starting in constructive rest posture. So I'm going to get down to the floor. Y'all can join me or join me seated in the chair. I also have a spicy knee, so that's why I kind of like to use that blanket. Make sure this is out of the way. Okay, very good. Let's come onto our backs, please. Now I've got my strap, my block close by. You don't have that gear today, that's okay. You can do the class later on with the recording with the gear. You can also grab maybe a stuffed animal or a pillow or a long towel. If you don't have a strap or a long tie or a dog leash, that kind of thing. So let's come down to our back. Woo. So for me, because I have scoliosis, this is a little bit kind of painful for me. So I'll grab a wrist and then pull the shoulder up and away. But that already feels better. And then do the same with the other side. And then I've noticed that my nose is kind of pointing to the back of the room. So I've got some weird curvature going on with my cervical spine, my neck area. So I'm going to take my hands back behind my head, lift my head, and then kind of tuck my chin in more in towards my chest. So my ears are kind of aligned with the top of my shoulders. And I'm going to wiggle a little bit more just to get a little bit more comfortable here laying on my back. So constructive rest posture is one of those poses. If you can get onto the couch, onto the bed, onto the floor, and just have feet on the floor, knees bent, behind, shoulders, upper back, arms out to the side, and stay here about 5 minutes, you'll find that you might have some releasing of tension with the backside. We're not going to do that today, but we will accumulate to about 5 to 10 minutes with our yoga postures. So the first one we're going to do today is the breathing. So besides constructive rest pose. So find your belly button and then shift your hand a little bit lower than that. And then the other hand on top. And what you're trying to do here is as you breathe in, you'll expand that low belly, the mid belly, the upper belly, a little bit of the chest as you breathe in. And then just let everything kind of release as you exhale. Draw your belly button towards your spine. So this helps to promote lowering the blood pressure, lowering the heart rate, and increase cerebral spinal fluid flow, which is good for preventing dementia. So let's do that. So here we go. Let's breathe in, belly big, in through the nose if you can, then exhale all that air out, all the way out. Kind of really squeeze your abdominals towards the floor. And again, breathe in, belly big, whether you're seated, whether you're on your back. And then exhale, belly button towards your spine. Listen to the noise going in through the nose, down the back of the throat. And again, let's do that. Breathe in, belly big. And exhaling. Relax those shoulders. Release that tension. Here we go, here we go. Breathe in, belly big. And exhale. Beautiful. So one of the first postures we're going to do today after this one right here is called notice pose. Notice pose is noticing yourself in the posture, but we're going to extend a leg all the way down to the edge of the yoga mat. And then you're on the back of the leg if you're seated on the chair with a straight leg. And then do the same thing with the other leg. So what you're trying to notice here, well, so I feel pretty tight in kind of that hip complex. And I'm feeling some strange sensations in my upper back and the back of the calf. So you notice notice where you're feeling sensations. Maybe there's some spiciness going on. and then contract your belly button towards your spine. Slowly slide a foot back onto the yoga mat. And I take my time when I do that because, again, I've got spice going on today. And then let's do the other one. And so we'll use that as like a little snapshot on how we're doing in class. Let's start with windshield wipers today. Now I'm going to grab my yoga block. If you're seated, you may want to take the balls of your feet onto the yoga block to make this particular posture happen. It's also a variation of butterfly or cobbler's pose if you've been to yoga before. So what I'm going to do is the leg closest to you, I'm going to drop the knee out to the side. And then for me, this, again, feels a little spicy. I'm going to take my yoga block underneath to rest my leg weight on the block. So I'm on the side of my foot. So I'm getting a little stimulation of that side foot a little bit, and then a little opening up of that hip, that groin. Again, maybe your block needs to be taller. Maybe you can do this without the block. Me, I cannot, not on this side to begin with. Now, with the other one, we're going to drop the other one towards the bottom one. Now, we're not trying to stack the legs. We're just like dropping that towards the other leg. And you're on the inside of the foot of the top leg. You might be feeling some spice. Spice is like, ooh, I'm definitely noticing a strong sensation on the top hip, on the booty. It's a little bit of a low lumbar twist. Sometimes what I like to do is take either my thumb or the heel of my hand and then press down on that spicy area on my hip bone or my behind muscle to give it a little counter pressure. Sometimes I don't need that. Anyway, I'm just giving you some little alternative things to do in places of spice, okay? Now, contract the belly button towards the spine. Take the top leg back to the center, and you can use your hands to guide that if need be, okay? And then take that bottom leg back to the center. So you're back to constructive rest posture. Now, we're going to do the other side of the windshield wiper. So drop the other leg out to the side. And again, this doesn't look the same on the chair, but you just do what you can do, okay? Now, I don't need the block on the second side, and because of my weird grabby stuff that's going on with the scoliosis. Then I'm going to take that top leg and drop it towards my bottom leg. So that behind is a little bit more off the ground on this second side for me. Notice what you notice. There might be more spice. It may feel like a dull sensation. You may have nothing going on here too. Again, just notice what you notice. And then, once again, contract the belly button towards your spine. Bring that top leg back to the center, bottom leg back to the center. Now I'm going to take the block out. I probably don't need it on the second go, but you never know. Let's do that again. Take your original side, drop it out to the side. So here we go. And I don't need it the second time around. I just need it on that first go round. Anyway, I just kind of know that's what's going on with me. And then again, take that top leg, gently drop it towards the bottom leg. Notice if your top behind is more rolled off the floor or not, it may be still the same. Notice if there's more strong sensation or not. Contract your belly button towards the spine, bring that top leg back to the center, and then the bottom leg back to the center. I was kind of close to the wall earlier. I'm going to scoot a little bit more forward and do the second side. So here we go. Drop the knee out to the side, resting on the side of the foot. And do that second side. Drop it towards the bottom leg. And just, again, notice what you notice. So I'm going to bring my hand, and I'm clearing a little bit more of the floor space here with this second go-round on windshield wipers. From here, contract the belly button towards the spine. Again, bring the top leg back to the center, bottom leg back to the center. Okay, very good. Now, if you have a yoga strap, you may want to grab that yoga strap. I also teach that fall prevention yoga class on Fridays, and I normally have a loop going on in my yoga strap. So I'm just going to take this time to take that loop out because I don't use the loop on this particular class. So here we go. So what we're going to do, whether you're seated in the chair, whether you're lying on your back, if you're seated in the chair, don't be way back in the chair, kind of be in the middle part of the chair, okay, with your bottom. You're going to take the middle of your yoga strap somehow and put a foot into the strap or strap into the foot, one of the two. And then, if you're seated on the floor, you can rest the back of the heel on the floor, okay? You can have a soft bend in the knee or not. Now, this is called knee to chest posture. You can do this with or without the strap. But what we're trying to do here is kind of notice how it feels out in space or extended out on the floor. Now, with an inhale breath, invite the knee in towards the chest. Now you can, again, do this without the strap. Could be hands back behind the knee. And you're going to notice, okay, how much of that upper leg is into the hip crease or the side torso or maybe into the low wrist. So notice your kind of range of motion going on here. Now, from here, let's, again, breathe in. And as we exhale, extend that leg out, little flex of the heel, and then inhale, knee into chest. And exhaling out. You may be noticing, inhale, knee into chest, snap, crackle, pops happening with the hip, happening with the knee. Be sweet, be kind, be slower if you need to. And remember to breathe. Breathe in as you bring the knee in. Breathe out, contract that belly as you extend that leg out. Now, what I like about the strap is sometimes I'll go a little bit more far away from my body, but I have that strap, so I know that the leg will be in towards my body, or I'll be able to bring it in. Let me just put it that way. And I'm feeling some little clunky things with my hip and some little crinkly things with my knee, my menisci. I don't know what it is. It's talking though. I'm having a conversation here. My body's talking back, but it's not painful. I just noticed what I noticed. Yeah. Let's do 2 more. And then 1 more. And then I invite you to drop your strap, bring your hands either back behind your knee pit or on your knee pit, or interlace the fingers on the shin. Now, if you're seated, you probably are going to lean back a little bit when you do this. So we're going to do some little articulation, little isolation of the ankle joint. So let's do some point and flexes. Don't worry, I won't forget. We'll do the other side also, okay? If you have your hand on your shin, you may be noticing your muscles kind of moving, the shin muscles. I know they're not called shin muscles, but I can never remember the name of this muscle as opposed to other muscles. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Woo! Calf pumps are great for lowering blood glucose. So if you can't do that little walk after your meal, calf pumps are great for lowering that blood sugar. But, you got to do this about 2 to 5 minutes to help with that, okay? Now, make the foot still, and then we're going to draw a circle inwards towards the center and out. So ankle circles. We're trying to isolate the ankle. Everything just kind of from the feet to the top of the head. If you've got stiff ankles, stiff toes, that contributes a lot to back pain because it just kind of radiates up the chain of command here, the chain of your body systems. And then let's pause and reverse, go the other way. So these are specific yoga postures for easing back challenges. I was using a walker because of my extreme pain many years ago. There were yoga postures I was doing that was exasperating my challenges in my body. So I went to more training to figure out what was going on. And then relax and release that leg down to the floor. We're going to do the other side next. So there's about 40 different yoga postures that help contribute easing of back challenges. So again, I'm going to place the strap along the bottom of the foot and extend that leg out into the air. And this one, I notice I can bring it more towards the floor compared to the other one. So again, a little comparison, left versus right. And, you may have challenges because of stuff that's happened to you in your body. And then let's inhale, knee into chest. And then just notice what you notice here. Is it into the hip crease? Is it into the side torso? Is it into the low ribs? So this one's more into my side torso compared to the first side, which was in my hip crease. So I have a varied range of motion going on here. Join me now. Breathe in. And then exhale, extend that leg out. Again, inhale, knee into chest. Exhale, leg out. So this is probably a little bit more difficult to do seated in the chair than it is here on the couch or the bed or on the floor. So I do have some folks that do this class on the couch or on the bed. So just know you can kind of modify it, whatever place that you need to be practicing yoga today. Woo! Thank you all that came to the substitute class whenever I had to be up at the Mayo Clinic. I appreciate that. They did a brain scan for clinical study for figuring out the breathing method for lessening dementia is for like Alzheimer's. And I had to fill out the questionnaire on Alzheimer's. And it was like, oh my gosh, am I going to pass? One of the questions was count backwards from 100, starting at, I don't know, 97 by sevens. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. And I was like, when I was getting down into the 70s, I'm going, I can't, you're going to have to give me a different question. So then I had to spell words backwards. So that worked out better for me. Math was not my forte. Let's do 2 more. Here we go. And then 1 more. And then let that strap dangle, hands back behind that knee or interlace fingers on the shin. And let's start that soft pointing and flexing. Notice if one side feels a little bit more sensation, more tight, less tight. Woo. So in my job, I wore steel toe shoes. And so my feet would always kind of be like cramping together, or high heels. So some of my stuff is due to the shoes that I wore as I was doing my original career. Hard hat and steel toe shoes. And then pause, and we're going to draw a circle inward with your ankle. You might be feeling some snap, crackle, pops. Depending if you sprained an ankle, stubbed a toe, had any foot surgery, those kind of things. We're in boots for a long time. Yeah. And then pause and reverse. Go the other way. Very good. Couple more. And then relax that and release that down to the floor. Let's just take and shake the legs, kind of get rid of that muscle memory we just dealt with, and then kind of walk the feet in place if you can. Or heel lifts, calf pumps. And again, shake the legs. Very nice. From here, let's do the notice pose once again. So extend one leg all the way down. You might have to pat a hip if it's kind of grabby feeling. And do the same with the other side. And then just kind of wiggle your hips, wiggle your feet, wiggle your shoulders, and then just kind of settle into the surface that's supporting you. Notice what you notice. If you feel a little bit more connected, if it feels more easing of the body, maybe, maybe not. Very good. Contract your belly button towards your spine. Bring a foot back onto the yoga mat, then the other. So the next pose that we're going to do is called piriformis bounce and pigeon. So for those of you that are seated, it might get a little spicy. So those of us on our backs, guess what? It might get a little spicy. What we're going to do first is bring a leg into the air and shake it and wiggle it. And then take that leg, either cross at the ankle, or if it's available, on top of the thigh. Make sure that ankle is past the thigh. What you're going to do with your leg, though, is the piriformis part is you're going to press it away. Now, if you're seated, you're pulling it towards you and letting it drop. So again, if you're lying on your back, you're just kind of pressing that leg, wiggling it. You may have to take your yoga block to make that happen. And again, if you're seated, you're hinged, you're pulling it towards you and letting it drop away. So let me just show the seated version while y'all are doing whichever version that you're doing, since we have some new folks in the room. So again, you pull it towards you and let it release if you're doing the seated version, okay? You're seated in the chair. So why do we do the piriformis bounce? Because that sciatic nerve sometimes is caught in the piriformis muscle. It's either on the side or entrapped, or it's pinched maybe in the pelvic notch. So we just kind of warm up that muscle before we do the big workout of it. All right, so make everything nice and still, whether you're seated on the chair, whether you're lying on your back. And what we'll do is take our toes, point them towards your knees, so you're contracting that calf muscle, okay? And then what I want you to also do is take that bottom foot and tap, tap, tap the bottom foot. And then press that bottom foot firmly into the floor. So you kind of feel this little traction feeling happening from the foot, the behind the shoulders. And again, top toes towards your knee, squeeze both buns. And then if you're laying on your back, you take the heel of the hand or your yoga block, press that top leg away as you're vigorously pushing the bottom foot into the floor. If you're seated, you're sitting up tall, nice tall spine, elbows out, hinge forward. Woo! And maybe pressing down on that top side. Again, toes towards your knee, bottom foot pressed firmly into the floor for your reclined pigeon or seated on the chair pigeon. And let's breathe. Keep breathing. In and out. This one's usually a very spicy yoga posture for a lot of folks, especially if you're doing this seated, because you don't realize it doesn't take much distance for you to feel the spice in that yoga posture. And I think that's enough. Release everything. Bounce that top leg. Wiggle it, jiggle it. Woo! And then bring it into the air. Shake it. Wiggle it. And then release it down. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. But you know what? Let's do a windshield wiper first. Drop a knee out to the side. And then that top leg towards the bottom leg. Notice the range of motion of the behind, that low lumbar twist. Very good. Squeeze the belly button. Bring the top leg back to the center. Bottom leg back to the center. Do the other side. Drop the knee out to the side. And then take that top leg. Drop it towards that bottom leg. Very good. Again, noticing what you're noticing, the sensation here. Squeeze the belly button, bring that top leg back to the center, bottom leg back to the center. From here, take the other leg in the air, shake it. We're doing the other side now and wiggle it a little bit. And then take that top leg, drop it either again on top of the ankle bone or the top of the thigh, and we're going to bounce the leg, softly bounce it. Sometimes when people have the ankle on top of the other ankle, it's hard to bounce. So I'll take that yoga strap underneath to facilitate the kind of the wiggling of the piriformis muscle. So again, we try to work all the angles, right? Woo. Okay, so from here, we're going to make everything still. Then I'm going to change the order a little bit. Let's tap the bottom foot first on this one. So tap, tap, tap. To kind of get that wiggle jiggle going on there. And then take that bottom foot, press firmly into the floor, contract that quadricep. You may notice that, the bottom of the foot, the calf. Now take the top toes, point them towards your knee. So you got that top calf contracted. Squeeze both buns and then push that top leg away, either with your fingers or grab your yoga block and press it gently away. Still vigorously pressing into the bottom foot, I hope. Woo! Don't forget to breathe. And if you're seated, it's a tall posture, hinging forward. Again, there's lots of spice in this posture. Potential for spice. Let's just put it that way. Spice is one of my words. And release. Yay. Shake, wiggle, jiggle that top leg. Either with your own strength or you're guiding it with your hand or your yoga block. And then take that top leg up and off, shake it, wiggle it. Bring it back down to the floor. Let's do the notice pose. Let's notice what we notice. So extend one leg all the way down, then the other. Just kind of notice how your backside feels. So you don't notice the notice pose as much seated in the chair as opposed to, you've got lots of surface contact with the backside of the body. All right, from here, contract the belly button towards the spine, slide your foot back onto the yoga mat, then the other. Then we're going to roll over onto our side. So what I do, because I also have SI joint dysfunction, I lift up first, then I turn. If you ever are rolling around from one side to the other on the bed and you have spicy pelvic pain, that usually means that there's a SI joint misalignment going on there. Take that top leg, extend it, take that front hand, push into that hand. Sometimes we can be dizzy when we come up off the floor. So you may want to rest here at the forearm. If that's not an issue for you, then maybe you can go back all the way up to seated. Sometimes it's like, woo, the room's spinning. And so I don't like to sit on my behind on the floor because again, I've got that weird little curve going on. I use my little yoga blanket. I fold it up into like a long skinny rectangle, excuse me, and then fold it a little bit more into thirds. And so I have this nice kind of like thick edge going on here. And then I'll sit on the edge of that. And that allows me to tilt my pelvis forward to sit. Now, maybe sitting on the floor is not your thing. Maybe you can go sit on the chair for this next part. So we will be doing cat-cow and unsupported twist and probably side lateral flexion. Well, maybe we'll add that to the warrior posture. So what I like about the yoga blocks on this one is, again, I've got spicy stuff going on with my body, and sometimes the knees do not cooperate. I may place a block underneath to give a little bit of more air, more lifting towards me than towards the floor. This is where I would like to have 2 yoga blocks because maybe I feel the same thing on the other side. So I have a little support going on underneath. So it just makes it feel a little bit better in my body. So again, y'all kind of do you, yeah? And maybe cross leg is not your thing. Maybe you need to have a leg out to the side. So again, make it comfortable, all right? So I said we're going to do cat-cow. So seated on the chair again, you're not in the back of the chair, you're more scooted forward, sitting here on the floor, hands on the knees or the thighs, and we're going to breathe in, again, belly big, and then contract that belly button towards the spine. Let's curve our spine to the back of the room, so a little cat back. Woo! Now I like to keep my head looking forward rather than drop it towards my chest, because that's just too much cervical spine stuff, especially since this is a back yoga class. And then we slowly come out of that pelvic tilt to a tall posture. Again, coming out of a pelvic tilt can be a little spicy, so be sweet, be slow, all right? And then we're going to go in the cow version. So hands, elbows out, and hinge forward. It's also like a forward fold. So again, I just try to keep my ears aligned with the top of my shoulders, so I'm like a door hinge, hinging forward, not dropping the chin down, not taking the chin towards the sky. That's so we don't have excessive cervical spine curves going on in our back yoga class. And again, breathe in, belly big, belly button tight, come back to tall seated mount. We'll do one more round of that. And we'll also do a flowy cat-cow on the yoga mat. So again, breathe in, belly big. Exhale, curve your spine to the back of the room. Ooh, that feels nice. Stay here, breathe in, belly big. Contract that belly button, come up slowly to a tall seated mountain posture. In other words, sitting up nice and tall. And again, breathe in, belly big, and then hinge forward for our cow or our forward fold. Very nice. Your fold may not come very far, just know that, okay? Stay here, breathe in, and then come back up to a tall seated mountain. Very nice. Next is unsupported twist. So if you've been to yoga, you may have experienced other teachers saying, okay, take a hand across and place it on your thigh and then twist. For back yoga, we try not to do that because that's going into what they call a lever twist, forcing yourself into a place that's not natural. So what we do instead is letter W, arms. So we're squeezing that upper back musculature for strength. And again, sometimes where your pain is not where the problem is. So we do upper body strength training in addition to the lower body. So from here, breathe in, belly big, chin aligned with your spine. And then we turn towards one side. So again, we move kind of like as a unit over towards one side. Now I always lose the outside of arm, so I re-squeeze it. Again, my chin aligned with my chest. Breathe in, belly big. Belly button tight as I bring my body back to the center and then release that. For some folks, that's just too much holding of the upper back. We just take a little break and then go right back into it. So here we go. Letter W, contracted upper body stuff. That's one word for it. Breathe in, belly big. Now contract that belly button. Let's turn over to the other side. Again, notice what you notice. Did you turn more? Did you turn less? Is there more or less sensation going on? And again, breathe in, belly big. Exhale back to the center and release. You know what? We're going to do that side lateral flexion when we're doing the warrior poses. So let me take that block out of the way to the top of my yoga mat. I'm going to bring the blanket to where my knees are going to be. Like I mentioned that. I got spicy stuff. Who better to teach you back yoga than someone that has back problems? Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna put my knees on that yoga blanket. Let me move this chair out of the way a little bit and transition onto hands and knees. So for those of us with back challenges, the flowy cat-cow is a little different than traditional cat-cow. So traditional cat-cow, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and you drop the belly and you flare your tailbone and your head looks forward. So again, excessive kyphosis, lordosis happening here. And then same thing with, curving the spine, dropping your head. So again, too much cervical business. What we'll do here instead is come on to the forearms, or you're staying in the chair doing your chair cat-cow, okay? That works too. And you spread out your arms. And yes, you got your booty sticking in the air. You're going to be either on tops of the feet or curly toes. I do curly toes. And then I take my elbows and kind of walk them towards my knees about an inch. And then I lower my behind towards my heels. It may not touch, and that's okay. I'm looking at the floor. From here, inhaling, let's drag our nose up in between our forearms. Our belly is soft at this moment. Once your nose gets kind of in alignment with the top of your wrist, contract your belly button, shift a little forward, peel those forearms off, shift forward, and then curve your spine to the top of the room. Contracted belly button towards the spine. Lower your behind towards your heels. Relax the belly. Inhaling, let's do it again. Drag yourself forward. Once you get to the top of the hands or top of the wrist, contract your belly button, peel the forearms off, shift a little forward, up towards the sky for that cat. And then exhale all the way down towards your heels. And again, inhale, drag it forward. You're still getting an extension and flexion of the spine. Exhale, contract the belly button. But it's just a little bit safer version of the cat-cow for you today. One more time. Inhaling. Woo! And exhaling. Now, we're going to shift back to hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and do what they call oppositional reach, or bird dog is what some people like to call it. But I invite you to take your right foot, extend it all the way down to the edge or maybe past your yoga mat, and push your heel to the back of the room, get that calf contraction. And again, I'm going to shift my hands underneath my shoulders here. Then from here, I'm going to take the opposite arm, either bend the elbow or straighten the arm, and then lift that right heel. If you're seated, lift the left arm up, bend the right knee up. So oppositional reach, and release back to the floor, release back to the chair. Let's do the other side. So left foot, press the heel to the back of the room, get that calf contraction, that lengthening feeling. Right arm, bend the elbow or straightened arm, eyes looking down at the yoga mat, head aligned with the spine. All right, lift the heel and stretch from the fingers to the heel. And release. So this strengthens the multifidi muscle, which is the lowest or the deepest held back muscle. When it turns to fat, it recruits other muscles to do the work, thus back pain. Let's do that again. This time, though, let's inhale, extend an arm and leg outward. Belly is soft. Exhale, belly button tight. Lift the leg, extend that arm to opposite ends of the room. Inhale, bring the arm and leg down. Exhale, back to the center. Let's do the other side. Other opposite arm and leg. Inhaling, arm and leg out. Exhale, belly button tight. Lift the leg, lift the arm. Inhale, arm and leg down. Exhale, back to the center. Let's do one more each side. Here we go. Inhaling, opposite arm and leg go outward. Belly button tight. Exhale, lift the leg, lift the arm, look at the floor. Squeeze the butt if you need to. Woo! Lower the arm and leg, breathe in, and then bring it back to the center. Exhaling. Other side, last time. Inhaling, opposite arm and leg outward. Exhale, belly button tight. Lift the leg, lift the arm if you can. Woo! Inhaling, arm and leg down. Exhale, back to the center. Beautiful. We're going to come up to standing now. So where's my chair? So again, I use my chair to help me up off the floor. Or you can be on your hands and knees, bring a leg up in between your hands, curl that back toe. And I usually put my hand on the chair for this one. And then kind of lift that back leg, walk it towards the other one. hinge up. So a lot of times, again, when we come up off the floor, there can be these dizzy issues. So hands to heart center, feet a little wide, breathe. Very good. Keep breathing. I'm going to set up the yoga blanket out of the way. So I use a chair when I do the warrior postures. You can do these seated or standing behind the chair or without the chair whatsoever. But again, I'm wiggly. So I put part of my chair on the yoga mat. And let me show the seated version just so I can get the seated folks set up, okay? So, and again, get your block close by because tree pose, we're going to need that block, okay? So for the seated version, you take a leg out to the side, kind of scooch to the side, and you don't let your legs drop in. You're really kind of pushing the legs to opposite ends of the room. You naturally turn to the center, but I invite you to turn your torso out and over the leg of the front. You vigorously are pushing your feet into the floor. All right. So you got the seated version set up. So for the standing version, let's heel toe those feet out and then go out a little bit more. And this is why I like the chair, because I can go a little further than I normally do. I lift the heel, turn the foot, so I don't do weight bearing on a heel turn, again, because of the SI stuff, and bend the knee towards the short end of the yoga mat. Now try to see, is my foot aligned with my knee aligned with my foot? And then sometimes I kind of lean out a little bit and I'm thinking, okay, shoulders over my hips as best I can. I might heel toe out the other leg a little bit more. Now try to have my hips as best I can parallel to that long end of the yoga mat. So let's go back to letter W, whether you're seated on a chair or standing. Go back to letter W, engage the upper body. Now, we hate wrinkles. Oh, I hate wrinkles. You're going to hate them too. There's a wrinkle on the floor, so we're going to press down and away so we get that hip musculature, the feet very active in this variation of the warrior postures. This is actually a bone building posture when we hold it for about 30 seconds, not the breath, but the posture. But we're going to add on to this. Yes, we are. So let's extend those arms with the squeezy shoulders, like viciously squeeze, okay? And pressing firmly into the floor. Staying here with the shoulders contracted, the feet firm into the yoga mat. You need to hang on to the chair or the wall or your hip. That's okay, all right? You can do one side at a time. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then relax those shoulders. Woo! Relax the firm feet into the floor. Straighten that leg a little bit. And then let's go right back into the pose. Back to letter W, back to bent knee. Again, if you want to check, you can take a little peek, okay? And then straighten back on up. Again, firm feet into the floor, pressing down and away. Down and away, squeezy shoulders. We're going to do side lateral flexion next. So it's a variation of reverse warrior. So back to letter T, arms, and then do a palms up. And we're going to reach out over the bent knee side and then scoop it up into the air. Now, hand can hang onto the chair, fist on a hip, or arm going down the leg. Now, what I like to do is turn my head and look at my elbow pit because I don't want to do excessive turning the head towards the ceiling because of the kyphosis, that type of thing. So I just have my eyes look towards the ceiling, but my nose is kind of looking at the armpit, elbow pit, sorry, not armpit. And then float the arm down, straighten the leg, turn the foot gently, heel toe in. We're going to switch sides. So switch over to the other side if you're doing the seated version, folks, okay? Those of us standing, feet out. Here we go. Hike up your pants if you need to. Always have to hike them up at the crease, right? And then I'm going to lift my heel, turn the foot, bend that knee towards the short end of the yoga mat. Again, this is one of those bone postures, bone building postures, and it's good for back yoga also. Yes, we're going to go back to letter W. Here we go, squeezy. And then again, there's that wrinkle. Press down, press away to really activate that hip musculature, shoulder musculature. Then go ahead with squeezy shoulders. Extend those arms out into a letter T, mindful that you can always hang on to the chair, to the wall, fist on a hip, if it makes you feel a little bit more balanced today. Squeeze those shoulders, firm feet into the floor. You can turn your head to look over that bent knee side, but I'm not cueing that for y'all today. That's totally an option available to you. So I'm having my head look straight at the camera or straight at you. In alignment with my shoulders, my hips. Hold on, not the breath, but hold the pose if you can. Heart rate may be kicking up. Just notice what you notice. I don't think I put my heart rate on today. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on so I know what the heart rate is right now. Because I feel it a little elevated. And then release from that, relax those shoulders, straighten that, softly straighten that leg. But we're gonna go right back into it, right? So letter W, bend that knee, check your alignment if need be, okay? Firm feet into the floor, smooth out that wrinkle, squeeze those shoulders, and let's extend those arms out into a letter T. Now do a palm up, and then reach out, hinge forward a little bit, and scoop it up into the air. Hand on the chair, fist on the hip, hand down the leg. Again, I'm having my eyes look where my elbow pit is, or where my hand is, but I'm not tilting my head up. Again, that's just kind of a back yoga type of modification we do. Firm feet into the floor. Again, if you need to hang onto the chair, please do so. Release the hand down, straighten the leg, pivot the foot, walk it in. Very good. So for tree pose, again, I use the chair or the wall, but I want to show the chair version first. So I take that yoga block more forward and the foot out to the side and the other foot next to it. And I'm pressing firmly into both feet, arms into that V, squeezy shoulders. Now for standing, that's a little different. So again, you may know a version that appeals to you more than what I'm teaching, but I step a foot out, lift my heel, turn my foot out to the side. So I have one knee one direction, one knee the other direction. And then I start to walk that foot into either the ankle or into the calf or into the inner thigh. But let me see here. I'm kind of in the dark place in the camera. I'm going to do this where you can see this, okay? But I don't do it on the knee joint. Sometimes what happens though is that knee starts to travel to the front of the room. The objective is to have the leg out to the side, wherever you are in your tree posture. So again, maybe the arms can go up. Maybe you need to hang onto the chair. You can have all sorts of variations of tree. And you may have to hang onto the wall. I may have to hang onto the wall. I'm quite wiggly today. Or you can have fingers on the chair. I'm starting to shake just a little bit. Woo. And we're releasing. Gonna walk a little bit side to side. So I'm gonna show the next one using the wall. I just like to show all the variations. Again, other side. So I have my hand on the wall. You probably don't see that, but there it is. Okay. And I'm stepping my foot out, lifting my heel, turning the foot out to the side. Again, one knee one direction, one knee the other. Then I'm starting to walk that foot either into my ankle, my calf. Now I'm traveling my hand up the wall. That helps me to have hands in the air because, again, I'm quite wiggly. But again, I can kind of notice as my knee starting to turn towards the front of the room. Then I invite it, again, to be out to the side as best I can. Never on the knee joint, though. Just below or above the knee joint or here on the floor. That works also. Press firmly into the surface beneath you, whether it's with the ball of the foot, the bottom of the foot, or just the bottom of the foot. Breathe. And your hands may be, arms may be aligned with your shoulders rather than above. Again, you kind of do what's okay with you today. And release. Woo! Again, move a little bit. Next posture is block bridge. So we have to do this lying on our back, whether on the couch. I have an open back chair, so it doesn't work for me with the open back chair, but you can put the block here at the back, press your behind into the block. But since I have an open chair, I'm going to be doing this on the floor. But before we go into block bridge, let's do notice pose. let's notice what we notice, yeah? So back to constructive rest pose, knees bent, laying here on the yoga mat. Do you need to pull the shoulders away or not? Just notice what you notice, right? And then let's do notice pose. Extend one leg all the way down, then the other. Notice how the back side of your body feels at this moment. Okay, and then we've noticed that. And then let's go ahead and place the feet back onto the yoga mat. Grab your yoga block. So this is why you want the yoga block, is this for this next pose. This one right here, it's the best. Well, that's my opinion. I'm gonna walk my feet towards my behind, and either with your own muscular strength or with your hand, you're gonna raise up and scoot that block underneath. Rest your low behind on the block. Now I feel crunchy here, so I always walk my shoulders up and away. Okay, so I'm noticing that kind of traction feeling going on here. So here's where we use some vibrational energy here. We're going to raise a leg off the floor and shake the leg. And then wiggle it side to side. I always feel feels weird when you do the wiggle side to side, but you know, we got to do it. And again, shake, shake, shake. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And then bring that leg down. Let's do the other side. Raise the other leg up, shake it up. And side to side. And again, shake it up. Now, if you want to, bring the other leg up also. Do both. Some folks are going, oh, I don't know about that. I've seen folks do this, shaking both legs, sitting on the chair too. So it can be done. Some folks can do that. It's kind of cool. So again, get some vigor in this vibrational energy that's going on here. And then bring one leg down. Ooh, feel that sensation that's happening. Then the other. Take your time. And then press into the floor, gently raise up, pull that yoga block out, roll your spine down. Notice what you notice. Let's do the notice pose. Extend one leg, then the other. Shake those shoulders, move the hips. So it should feel a little different than the beginning of class. Hopefully it's not more painful. Hopefully there'll be less pain going on, or maybe it's still at the same level. You just kind of notice what you notice, right? So typically right here is where we do the guided rest and relaxation. So some folks will stay here in this position, but some of the others that have done this class for a while enjoy having that chair just for this version of the pose. So instead of legs on the wall, which is another good one for varicose vein reduction, stress relief, you can do legs on the chair. So I get next to my chair, I kind of cartwheel my legs onto the side of my chair. It depends what kind of chair. You can do this with your couch, your ottoman, and then kind of walk my behind back a little bit to get that kind of traction feeling going on still. And, you know, adjust my upper back, arms out to the side. So sometimes what I will do to get a little bit more comfortable, because I'm thinking, is that leg going to fall off? I just cross at the ankle. Maybe I do it that way. Yeah, take that inside leg, cross it at the ankle. Eyes can be opened, closed, softly gazing. All I need y'all to do is just get comfortable in this at this particular point in the class. Now that might be you getting up and getting in the couch, or you know, continuing here. But as you get comfortable, I'm going to come up to the front of the room and we're going to do that guided rest relaxation portion of the class. Now I do what's called a non-sleep deep rest. It's a variation of yoga nidra that we do at night here on Veterans Yoga Project. So it's just another method of doing a guided rest. So again, I invite you to get a little bit more comfortable. Just notice if you're holding any tension in the body, maybe you need to kind of wiggle that body part and just let it relax and release away. Maybe, you know, there's some little movement you need to do. And if you need to move during this time, that's okay too. Just know that, all right? So let's just kind of let down our thoughts, set our thoughts to the side, which I know that's tough, right? Let's just notice if there's any physical sensations going on with the body. So for me, it's usually the right behind, or no, I'm sorry, the left behind. It's kind of like pulsating or feels a bit achy. And I just notice that that's going on. And then I just try to, as I breathe in and out, I just kind of send some healing thoughts to that area. I know that sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? It does. But let's just pay attention to the breath. Just notice that you're breathing. Don't change it in any way. What does it feel like here to breathe in? Notice the places that are moving as you inhale. And as you exhale, as you breathe out, notice the places that are moving as you breathe out. And then again, breathing in and breathing out. Now, all you have to do is listen to my voice. I'm going to take you on a little journey throughout your body. I'm going to name some places in the body, and I invite you to name them inside of your head when I mention them. And then bring all your attention, all of your awareness to those places in your body. Eyes, again, can be opened or closed. Good. So we're going to start with the big toes. So just notice both your big toes on the left and the right-hand side of your body. You don't have to look at them, but you're imagining, okay, left big toe, right big toe, and then bringing your attention to both those places in your body. Good. Let's shift our attention now to our pinky toes, both on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. From there, let's move our awareness a little bit upwards. Let's notice the top of the foot and the bottom of the foot, both on that right-hand side and that left-hand side, both at the same time. We're shifting our attention now to the shins, to the calves, noticing both the front places and the back places on that right and that left-hand side at the same time. Now let's shift our attention to the joints of the knees. Just notice those knee joints. Notice the back of the knee and the front of the knee at the same time. Then let's shift our attention to the front of the legs, the quadriceps, and then the back of the legs, the hamstrings, both on that left and that right-hand side. From there, notice your hip joints. Notice that left and that right hip joint. Then I invite you to notice your pelvic floor, your pelvis, your low back. Notice the belly button, the same place in the back side of your body, kind of that mid back. Then let's shift our attention to our heart center and the bottoms of the shoulder blades. Both notice the front and the back places of the body at the same time. Let's move this attention now to the tops of the shoulders, both in the front and the back side of the body. From here, we're shifting our attention to the front of the arms and the back of the arms, the upper arms. And then noticing those elbow joints. Let's pay particular attention to the front and the back side of the lower arms. Noticing both the left and the right wrist. Let's pay attention to the palms and the back of the hands, both on that left and that right-hand side. And now pay attention to your thumbs, index fingers, middle fingers, ring fingers, pinky fingers. From our hands, let's shift our attention to the base of our throat, both in the front and the back of our neck, the chin, the jawline, the upper lip. Notice the right and the left nostril tip, the right and the left eye, the forehead, and the very crown of the head, the very top of the head. So at the very crown of the head, let's imagine healing light entering through the crown of the head, just saturating every cell in our body, every joint, every muscle, every organ in our body, that healing light. And as we imagine the sunlight coming through our body, we're letting everything become brighter and brighter. And then we're letting go of what no longer serves us today, either through the bottoms of the feet, the back side of the body, wherever your body is touching a surface that's supporting us. Again, healing sunshine, and then letting go of what no longer serves us through the back side of the body, the bottoms of the feet. And then from here, I invite you to come back into the now, into the present moment. So maybe just wiggle those toes a little bit, maybe shrug the shoulders. Some folks like to go ahead and like go to sleep at this point. If that's you, that's cool. But if you're still with me here, come back into the now, the present moment, inviting a little bit of movement back into the body. If you're lying on your back, maybe you can bring those knees into your chest and just kind of move a little bit side to side. If you're seated here on the chair, come forward on your chair and knees are wide and do upper body circles. So lying on your back, knee circles, nice and sweet now. Seated on the chair, upper body circles. And let's reverse that. Go the other way. Notice what you notice when you go the other way. It might feel a little different. Just know that. Good, good. Those of you lying on your back, come back to the center and let's roll over onto the side. Kind of once again, we're going to take that top leg, extend it out, and that other hand press into the floor and bring yourself slowly to a seated position. Again, equilibrium shifts can happen. So right now, just place your hands at heart center, press into your chest, chin towards your chest, just to kind of get things to be a little bit less wiggly. If it's wiggly, yeah. Good. And then release from that. So we'll do one more breath pattern before we leave today. So what I like to do, it's called the elongated breath. So we breathe in to a count of 4. I will clap my hands 4 times. We'll pause, and then we'll exhale to a count of 5. And I'll pause. Now, if this breath does not resonate with you, just breathe, okay? So this helps, again, to lower the blood pressure, lower the heart rate, and to kind of get you into that parasympathetic mode, the rest and relaxation mode. So join me. So here we go. Let's breathe in. And then slowly, slowly exhale. Again, big breath in, belly big. Then slowly exhale. One more time. Here we go. Breathe in. Slowly exhale. Beautiful. Now's the time for our gratitude practice. So I invite you to think about one thing that you're grateful for. Maybe it's an idea of gratitude. What I like to do is I either place my hands together or the hands stacked, and I place them at my heart center. And just for showing up today, and gratitude is showing up, maybe you can just drop your chin towards your heart center and think about that thing that you're grateful for or that idea of gratitude. And I appreciate y'all's determination, discipline, dedication, and responsibility for just showing up, for signing up and showing up. That's a lot right there. Just being in the present moment and doing a movement, a breathing practice. So thank you for that. And then we'll end our class with our traditional sayings. Now you keep your chin towards your chest, or you can gaze your eyes open or closed with the head aligned with the top of the shoulders. So the light in me honors and respects the light in you. So let's take the peace, the strength, and the understanding, that little attitude of gratitude, and let's pass it on. Namaste, which means The bright light in me honors and respects the bright light in you. This concludes our practice of gentle yoga for back care. Let me stop the recording.